Now, experts have warned that South Africa's aviation industry faces a severe skills shortage and more professionals seek greener pastures abroad. The industry is also facing safety regulations that require good compliance officers. Let's speak now to the South African Civil Aviation Authority's Poppy Khoza. Poppy, thank you very much for your time here on All Angles. Firstly, I think it's quite a valid concern, and I wonder if, as the Civil Aviation Authority, you are concerned because you've had to ground, especially recently, quite a few airlines about, safety.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. Yes, we, as the Civil Aviation Authority, we have been concerned recently about the spate of incidents that we saw, particularly around, the airline operations as such. But I must indicate that whatever actions that we would take as the regulatory authority, consistent with our mandate, are really geared towards ensuring that for every takeoff, it must culminate into a safe landing, and therefore continuously review, have a robust engagement with the industry about the importance of ensuring that safety is preserved on an ongoing basis, and therefore we are quite excited to see how much equally the industry is coming to the party in ensuring that in as much as we recover post the COVID-19, in fact, not even post the COVID-19 pandemic, but as we recover even during, the pandemic, as it were, but we do so in a very responsible manner that ensures that the public, the crew, and those that are trusting the aviation system, they continue to have confidence in this industry, which has, for the past few years, for so many years, as a matter of fact, enjoyed quite a good record in terms of ensuring that we have zero accident rate in the airline operations in particular. Where we do have a concern is primarily in the general aviation area, or private flying, as it were, and we are quite concerned about the spate of accidents that we see. And we are engaging. In fact, even tomorrow, we are hosting a national aviation conference where we'll be raising sharply the issues of aviation safety as we recover and ensure that the aviation industry remains sustainable into the future.
I just want to go back in terms of safety. I mean, according to your assessments, especially lately, are we safe, or do South Africans have a point in feeling as though the SACA has actually had to ground too many airlines, quite recently? And, are South Africans actually making a valid point by saying maybe we're no longer as safe as we used to be? What are your assessments saying?
I think for as long as we do have the regulatory authority that is quite responsive, for as long as we do have the aviation industry that equally is able to self-introspect, I think we have no reason really to be concerned. Yes, of course, when the groundings do happen, it would have, some elements of inconvenience and so on. But I think if we look at the safety record of South Africa, honestly speaking, it's a testimony that we are doing what we have to do, and we will continue to do so. All in the name of ensuring that passengers, when they board those aircraft, in fact, they do so with a degree of confidence that, they will land in their destinations safely. So whatever enforcement actions that we take, it is really to the benefit and the interest of the flying public.
Now, there's also the sentiment that there's an exodus in the aviation industry, that we are losing a lot of experienced and really good people here in South Africa. Firstly, is it true? Well, it's without proper statistics at our disposal in terms of losing the skills. All we know is that pre-COVID-19, pre the pandemic, there was a big debate globally around ensuring that as the growth was projected at the time, in terms of how the industry was going to be growing in the years ahead,
and the worry from the international community at the time was that we have quite an aging population of aviation professionals, and therefore we needed to build a pipeline and get, the young aviators entering the system so that, we're able to sustain the aviation industry. But of course, COVID-19 happened, and it meant that aircraft, had to downscale or downsize their operations. We had a number of aviation professionals, in fact, losing jobs as a result of either, the downscaling or other operators folding. We do have an excess of skills sitting on the ground as we speak, or sitting at home not doing anything as a result of the downscaling and the fact that we have not recovered to the numbers that we saw pre-COVID-19. So at this point in time, our view is that we don't have a shortage of skills. In fact, the skills are really sitting at home. What we are seeing, though, is that people in securing their livelihoods would, of course, want to look for greener pastures elsewhere. But I must indicate that this is a global issue. So even if our own aviators, aviation professionals, want to go to other countries, it is a challenge because even those countries are struggling with their own recovery, just like us here in South Africa. So there is no scientific indication at this point in time that we are facing brain drain and or that we are losing critical skills. Because we do, in terms of the license statistics, active licenses, if you were to compare them before the pandemic and where we are now, we're sitting just below 60% of licenses who are active. And as a matter of fact, some of the aviation professionals are sitting at home, or some of them would start looking, elsewhere to ensure that, they secure their livelihoods.
So tomorrow you're hosting a national conference, and obviously safety will be discussed, and the fact that, you need more growth in the aviation industry and how to do it post the lockdown, etc. But are you also going to be discussing, for instance, transformation, where a lot of people feel as though, besides skills transformation, there is not enough, people of color in the aviation industry till today?
So transformation has been, a biggest challenge in our context in South Africa. And we've been having a host of conversations with the industry, with relevant government departments, led, of course, by the Department of Transport. And the numbers are not looking good. So at any given opportunity, we will always be touching on transformation. The skills are not in abundance, as I was saying. At this point in time, particularly if you were to look at the profile of who's really in this space, and therefore it is important for us to continue to advocate for transformation, and we must dispel the notion that transformation equals to the lowering of standards, because everyone who gets trained, they get trained according to the similar standard, and they get licensed by the Civil Aviation Authority, and the licenses, they do not know any color. So I know that when we talk transformation, there's equally this notion that transformation, because there is transformation, and therefore, safety then becomes a concern. It is not true. It cannot only be in South Africa, where when we talk transformation, then safety is raised as an issue. We must advocate for transformation. It is a human rights issue. It is the right thing to do, because each and every child who needs to find himself or herself in this exciting career, they must be given an opportunity. And it cannot be an opportunity that is one-sided, but it must equally represent the demographics of our country. We're sitting currently with just about 10% of Black aviation professionals, and of course 90%. So the scale.
All right, Ms. Khoza, I'm so sorry. I have to take us back to Des Ntathia. In fact, our senior